Welcome to the Performance Portfolio Podcast with Coop and Coop. Greg Cooper and Cooper Allen bridge the gap between performance and finance to help you build a stronger life and a more resilient future. Let's get into today's episode.
Coop, we're continuing the conversation here on men's mental health. We left last week. You had some more questions for me, for the audience, for each other. So I'll give it right to you and let's get after it.
Yeah, for sure. Last week I think did a really good job, or at least a pretty comprehensive job. Good as I guess in the eye of the beholder, but comprehensive job of covering advice to our younger selves and why that question was so necessary as a part of celebrating Men's Mental Health Month. The types of reflection that it created, and I want to transition from that topic into how do we carry the conversation forward? We'll be in the middle of July by the time this episode comes out. And there's a lot of things that come through our world that are, we're going to post about this and it's going to be the flavor of the week. And then 2 weeks later, we forget about it. And when it comes to something as important as mental health, that's never really sat well with me. That it's like, let's just have a day and then forget about it for 364 days and then have another day. So I wanted to get a little bit tangible with you and for our listeners on what are some things that we could do year round where maybe it doesn't necessarily need to be a celebration, or maybe you don't need to post 365 days a year on social media about it, but what are some changes you could make in your day-to-day life, in your actions or in your mindset to make sure that the people around you know that you're available to them as a resource, and making sure people know that they have, like we touched on last week, communities and support groups that they can go to, not just for mental illness, but and not even just as a reactive measure towards negative mental health, but as a proactive measure to continue that your fulfillment levels and happiness levels are in the place that they need to be. So that's what I was a little bit curious on. And before we go too into the weeds, do you have any initial thoughts, Greg, on just, hey, maybe we'll start with, forget what the audience can do. What are some things that you do 365 to make sure that mental health isn't just a June conversation? Or maybe what are some things that it doesn't even need to be things you've done in the past, but just coming out of June, what are some things that you've committed to making sure that you do moving forward to keep the conversation going?
Yeah, so the one thing that comes to my mind, and I talk about it lots, if people know me at all, they know I'm a big fan of the power list. And I'm not saying that's the tool, but when I was at my first really big job out of university, I got put into a pretty management type role. I was a sales guy, but I was also like a team manager. And my boss at the time challenged me. He's like, make your meeting more than just sales stats and like what we're doing in numbers. Engage it. Do your Andy Frisella stuff. Like embed the power list. Get some motivation. And this is when like my Monday posts and Tactical Tuesday all started and all of this stemmed from. And I didn't know it at the time, but looking back on it, that is what I was doing. Because I led the meeting with some quote, John Wooden, something I made up, just something positive that like, this is a good quote. I shared it with everybody on a slide and it was a positive start. And then the next piece was, okay, what was everybody's biggest win last week? So we're starting with a positive. And then it's, okay, what was the most challenging thing? So it started a conversation. And then we could help each other navigate that challenge. And then I took that into my daily life and I ask my friends that all the time. What was the highlight of your day? Like, I don't need to know about your whole day. You probably don't want to go batting through it because it's same thing you did yesterday at work, more than likely. But give me the highlight of the day. Oh, this one client, and people will go off because they're excited to share a win. And then I'll follow it up with like anything super challenging or like super frustrating today, because it opens up a conversation where growth can happen, or they can just vent it out. They got super pissed off because a coworker made them look bad or whatever the case was. It opens it up. So I was doing this in these meetings, not knowing what I was doing until later on, I went, oh, wow. That was because I started giving prizes to the team, right? Like my one coworker was a golfer. So I gave him, if he won that week, I would send him a golf town gift card. Our one teammate was a motorcycle. So I give them a Harley Davidson gift card or something. It wasn't very much. It's like 5, 10 bucks, sometimes a little more, 20 bucks, 50 bucks, but it created this like competition, but competition through collaboration and like we're sharing our wins. And then it was like it snowballed into every week. Everybody's goal was to have like the best win and the best challenge and like find these things in their daily life. So that's something I do, and I do it all the time. I do it to my friends, my family, I do it to my athletes. I just this morning I finished with my one of my younger athletes. He's 9. I do some speed and agility stuff with him. I said, "What was your favorite? Like, what were you most proud of?" He's like, "Oh, the cone drill. I beat my times every time. Perfect. What was the hardest thing? Push-ups and squats. Okay, great. Why?" And then it just snowballed this conversation. And it seems like it's not mental health, but it is because it's challenging us to look deeper than, wow, I'm exhausted after doing that session with coach. No, it was like, this was like my highlight. I love doing this drill and I want to keep getting better at it. And you could do that in every area of your life.
Last week, we talked about how it's possible for a performance coach, a financial advisor, a teacher, a stay-at-home dad, a welder, all these different people. How is it possible that there's similarities? And you just nailed it in this topic of you translated something from work into your personal life. And to get very tangible, there's a free app that you can download called WinStreak, where you can pop in on WinStreak and just add today's June 29th, 2026, the time of recording. And then there's today's win. If you're listening to just the audio, you're not going to see the video of this, but you could just click add a win. What was my win? And whether there's 5 things or whether there's one thing, you just challenge yourself, write one thing down in your day. If you're a welder and you have a 2-hour commute that you hate coming home from work and it took an hour and 55 minutes instead of 2 hours, hey, save 5 minutes on the commute home. Got to sit in the driveway and just breathe and chill for a bit before I went into to wife and kids. Or one of my 3 meals today was awesome. I was eating it and I appreciated that I had a spouse that cooked it for me or that I whatever got the portion size that I did where maybe somebody in a less privileged country wouldn't get something like whatever. Like it could be you find one small thing and then the next section here is tomorrow's wins. So then you go in and you go, okay, I've got a couple wins in here today. Other than what's in here today, what are some ways I could potentially win tomorrow? And you add them in. And you don't even necessarily need to do them, but it now is training your brain to think about how do I make tomorrow a good day? Instead of going to bed thinking about, man, I just wish I didn't have to get up and go to work tomorrow. Man, I hate where I'm at in life. Man, this sucks. Man, it's a grind. Man, it's whatever. All of that might be true, but it's definitely true if it's all you focus on. And but it could still be true and it not affect your mental health as much if you're focused on something as small as bringing a little bit more not and it's not even as some people would say it's gratitude and the gratitude exercises are cheesy and I would challenge that is it gratitude or is it just having more awareness for the positive things that happen throughout your day and leaning more into because positive things and negative things happen in your day every day. And if you just leaned more into the couple positive things than the negative things, that's it's it doesn't have to be as cheesy as, well, I'm grateful that I didn't wake up on a dirt floor today. You should be grateful that you didn't wake up on a dirt floor today. But I get that mentally a lot of times that doesn't get the job done. And it's
Mhm.
cliche and it's tacky and whatever. But leaning into the positivity is not tacky. In fact, it's the thing that when you fast forward to the end of your life, you're going to be grateful that you did instead of having regrets that you didn't.
Man, I make this joke all the time. I'm gonna look 90 when I'm like 60 because I smile and laugh so much. If that's the reason I got crow's feet, sign me up all day long. Like I'm a ginger anyway, so I'm gonna burn up fast anyway and look old, but that's fine. But like it's a joke I make, but it's real. It's like I'd rather be laughing about things than like being the miserable cynic in the corner that's like, "Argh," like the two grumpy guys on Sesame Street, right? Like, but
Yeah.
so with that being said, because I know you do a lot with your team as well in the financial world, like how do you incite that with your team, like on the wins and in your team meetings? And I know you have a lot of documents you send out and great structure around that. So like, how do you consciously or like subconsciously embed it with your team, and like what is the effect that they get from it?
Yeah, I'll start with business and then I'll do what you did and bring it back to personal because I think that's just as important. When it comes to the team, regardless of what industry you're in, whether it's advising or real estate or mortgages or anytime you've got a team, it's very easy to just get stuck in whatever the company's system is. Okay, hey, you gotta for to get this promotion, you gotta get from here to here. Here's the activities that you need to do. You didn't do them, why not? You did do them, good job. And it's all metrics and sales driven. For me, one of the things I've been, I think, pretty careful about is making sure that it's not all just about company system and it's about my team hears me say a lot. It's like don't play the financial game, play the life game. And if you're part-time, a good example, I mean, if somebody's part-time and they don't need the income from our business to pay their bills, and then they go and they make 2 grand part-time, but their goal was 5 grand. Because they want to start making 5 grand a month so they can accelerate their savings quicker. So maybe they can transition from part-time to full-time. But they made 2 grand. It's, well, let's just, first of all, mathematically, let's reverse engineer how many hours that you would have needed to work in a part-time job to make the 2 grand. Then let's talk about the impact that you had on the family to do that. So break down your actual dollar per hour. We'll break down the compound effect of the result for yourself. We'll break down the compound effect of what that you did for that family, the fulfillment that you got, what you had to learn to be able to serve that family properly. So just pointing out okay, yeah, you're not where you want to be, but look at how far you've come. It's just a constant reflection of look at how far you've come, look at the difference that you're making for other people. In saying that, we're also very fortunate to be in an environment where we can consistently make a really massive difference for people all the time. So I want to answer your question also on a personal level, Greg, through the lens of maybe someone who isn't in an environment where they get to make a difference for people all the time in the way that we get to, is just check in on people. I had somebody very close to me just before the pandemic started back in 2020 try to take their life. And it was unfortunate at the time, but because I had started my personal growth journey and I was listening to books or listening to podcasts and reading books and all that, I had been able to keep the perspective as I was going through that of what is this moment in time trying to teach me? And one of the things that I took from it was just, hey, maybe this is trying to teach me that the world's going into lockdown here, and I had someone close to me that I try to try to take their life, and I wasn't really expecting it, and they're a pretty happy-go-lucky person, and maybe the message here is I shouldn't just assume that people are okay. Maybe I should go out of my way to engage in conversation, not just with my really close friends, but also some acquaintances. And I had a lot of catch-up conversations with people through the pandemic that I hadn't talked to in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And I even know that some of the feedback on those, there were some people who appreciated it, but I also know there's some people who thought it was really weird. And I know there's also some people who thought maybe I had a hidden agenda or a different intention. But you know who didn't think that I had a hidden agenda or didn't think that I had a hidden intention? Me. I knew I didn't. So that was why I had the confidence to do it. And I attached my confidence to my intentions. And it's something that I do a lot with people is just check in. Just thinking about you. Hope you're doing well. If you think of somebody, as long as you're not driving, then just text them. Hey, was just thinking about you. Hope you're doing well. You see a post on social media that's kind of funny and it made you think of someone, fire it over to them. I have no idea why, and this is super weird, but it made me think of you. Hope you're doing well. How many texts have you sent like that? in the last little bit? How many phone calls have you made to check in on people? If you drive, especially if you commute a lot, if you're driving to and from work, start at the top of your phone book. You got a 45-minute commute home from work, do a 15-minute catch-up call with someone before you listen to your thirty minutes of music, 30 minutes of podcast. And so these aren't life-changing things, but Greg, one of the reasons that you and I get to ask people the questions that we want to ask them is because we're around people all the time. We're in those environments. So if you're saying, "Hey, Coop, Greg, if I was in those environments, yeah, I could implement that. I could ask those questions." Well, you got to create your own environment. Then, in the same way Greg would talk to a 9-year-old at judo, in the same way that I would talk to a financial advisor on my team or one of our clients, what if you just called your buddy on the way home from work one day? What if maybe you don't want to have these types of conversations while you're having wings and beer, because wings and beer is supposed to be for whatever you guys want to talk about while you're watching the hockey game. Well, call them on the way home from work. Call them at a different time and go, "Hey, normally I know when we go for wings, we don't chat about this stuff, or I know the ball diamond's not the time or place for this, but I just want to check in. Like, sports and work and all that aside, like, how are you doing with life? Just out of curiosity, is there anywhere I could be a better friend? Is there anything you're struggling with that I can help with?" And most of your buddies, when you say that, are probably gonna go, like, "Are you drunk? Like, what are you on? Why this isn't you?" But if you're coming from the right place, honestly, man, I know that it's weird and it's also uncomfortable for me, but I care about my friends. I'm trying to do more to improve the conversation around men's mental health. And if you're good, you're good. Like, I won't poke or prod. I just wanted you to know that I'm there for you and figured I'd check in. And the right people will go, "Man, that's super cool. I'm doing good right now, man, but the fact that you're doing that, I'm sure you're going to catch some people who aren't, and you're the man. That's awesome. Good for you for doing that."
I really like that you said create your own environment. You got to create it, which is so true. I say it all the time to my athletes, regardless of their sport. It's like, look, if we're waiting for the perfect window, it doesn't exist. It comes once, maybe once in 1,000 exchanges, 1,000 plays. So you got to create it, right? So you got to create the opportunity, you got to create the window. And for the guys and girls listening to this, if you're going, "Well, that's not me. That's not my role in the friend group. I'm not the Yoda. I'm not the sage. I'm not the Obi-Wan, right? Like whatever." Sure. Maybe that is the other person in your group, but who's checking on them? And if you're not the person, be the person. Just start being the person. Yeah, the first few times you ask, it's going to be weird, and your friends are going to say weird things to you and be like, "Wait, are you okay?" Like they're going to throw it back at you. But it's going to start a conversation. And then if you continue to be that person, well, then they will come to you and they will have those conversations with you. So, yeah, get uncomfortable and, right, you don't have to ask armchair therapist deep questions. It's just something simple as that. And an example that popped in my head, one of my best friends growing up from kindergarten to grade 12, I still consider him a very close friend. We don't talk every day, we don't talk every month. But my buddy Connor, he had texted me, he's in the car industry. Anytime I think about a car, I see a car, I just send him a message. "Hey man, I just saw a Lambo and I just thought of you because I know you drove one on the track the other day. Like, what do you think about this one?" And it starts a great conversation. We have a call. I'm driving, he's driving. We have a 5-minute chat. It's all good. And then like 4 days later, the other thing, like growing up, I used to hunt all the time. If I wasn't at judo, I was hunting. And I don't anymore as much as I'd like to. I love it, but I specifically loved bow hunting. And I got a bow and our acreages were close and then he got one. So we would shoot together. We go shoot gophers and it was all fun. And he literally texted me the other day. He's like, "Man, I was cleaning out the garage. I found my bow, like, but the strings are all messed up. Like, where should I go get it fixed? Like, I want to just start shooting just like Cam Haines and like do the thing." I'm like, "Yeah, man." And because that was our thing when we were kids, like when we were 12, 13 years old, that was our thing. He still thought of me as like, you're the aficionado on it. There's more guys in our friend group that shoot more often than me, but it was a cool caveat he took. And again, this is a guy I don't talk to. I haven't seen him in person in maybe a year, maybe more, which is its own thing. But we live in separate cities, so it's tough, right? We're busy, but we still make those connections. So it's like small little things like that. You think it's silly? Maybe he did when he was sending it, maybe not. But it was like, oh, cool. I should go shoot my bow next weekend. That's literally what I thought. I didn't, but you know, it's been raining here in Edmonton, but now it's nice. So maybe I'll zip out to Leduc and shoot the bag. Like it was cool. Like that's a small connection. So like everybody has a connection with somebody in their life that like used to be your thing.
Well,
Bring it.
that's the thing, right? Is so whether you get out and you do it or whether you don't, it was a reminder of a group or a hobby or something that you can attach yourself to. And that is a big part of mental health, especially for men, is what can they be a part of? What was something, it went back to, we talked about this last week. They want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be appreciated, they want to be respected. What was a time in your life where you were involved with an activity, an organization, or a particular friend where you felt heard, seen, appreciated, and respected? It's one of those things.
Mhm.
So whether you're the best at it or not, it was a time in your life where you were with a friend who saw you, heard you, appreciated, respected you, and you were doing something that you felt that you were good at one point.
Yeah. And more than that, to bring it to your point earlier, like leading with positivity. If nothing else, if the conversation dies after two text bubbles, it'll bring you that positive. Like immediately I thought of us shooting in his acreage, like shooting gophers, laughing, doing silly things. Like that was just a fun time because we didn't have responsibilities. His dad paid us $1 a gopher, so it was a game for us. And like then we would go buy pop and chips and candy and all the other stuff. But like if nothing else, it gave me that positive memory. And I'm sure Connor thought of it too, because I know he did, because he mentioned that. He's like, man, I miss we used to shoot like every day after school. It was so much fun. We
Yeah.
drove around in his golf cart and it was a great time. So like if nothing else, bringing up those old memories as like an entry into a conversation brings up a positive memory.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first couple tangible for anyone who's been following along all the way through, the first tangible that we said, hey, what can you do individually to make sure that men's mental health is continued beyond June? Tangible number one is track your wins. The more you're tracking your wins, the more you're going to lean into positivity. The more you lean into positivity, the more that's going to radiate off into other people. The second piece is create your own environment. So now you're tracking your wins, you're positive, you're radiating. Now you've created an environment where you can go impact people with your newfound perspective. The third piece that I would say that carries that forward, and this isn't really a three-step thing that we had prepared going into today. It's kind of the natural progression of the conversation. But now you've created your own environment. Third piece is continuing to personally develop. Because once you're in that environment, it can be uncomfortable at times to talk about certain topics because there's topics that come up that you're not as familiar with or you're not as confident in. There's going to be times where you question, uh, why do I feel stuck in this group? I created this group and it got me from here to here, and now I feel like there's no purpose here. I feel weird about this. Well, there's an element of, do you have to be Tony Robbins 24/7? No, but should you seek growth and seek discomfort and seek things that challenge you? For sure. Should you look to read a few books or listen to a few podcasts that change and not even necessarily change your perspective, but at least challenge your perspective on some things? 100%. And most importantly, I find that when I started to personally develop, all of the things that I thought were weird and all the things that I didn't do, not because I didn't want to do them, but because I thought other people would think it was weird, or because I thought it was weird at first and I was worried about what other people think. I found that the more I personally developed, the more I realized that other people who were personally developing also were doing all those quote unquote weird things. So then I realized, okay, well, this stuff that it challenged my belief system on, oh, it's weird to post on social media. I used to think it was dumb. I'm like, oh, social media is just for people who want attention and they're just posting their meals online all the time. Had a peanut butter sandwich for lunch. Like I didn't see the value in social media. And then when I actually got on it and realized, oh, this could be a place where we could not just consume, but create and share journeys and perspectives and create community and challenge thinking, well, went from me thinking the platforms were weird to that they had potential to make a difference. So I would say that the personal development piece, if you're coming out of June thinking, how do I want to continue to spread the word about men's mental health? Well, before you can make a difference for other people, you got to continue to make the difference for yourself and in your own home. So build out tangibly, I'd say build out what is my personal growth plan from July to December of 2026? Is it books? Is it podcasts? Is it physical? You want to get in the gym? You want to hire a personal trainer? You want to, what is it? But what is your personal growth plan? And then through the implementation of your personal growth plan, that's where there's going to become some more answers for you as to how you could continue to carry men's mental health forward beyond June, because it's through that growth and development that you'll continue to come up with new ideas on how you could strengthen community around you, in my opinion. But what what are your thoughts on that one? And would you, A, Greg, what are your thoughts on that one? But B, would you argue that there's either a point number of four or maybe like a 3B point to personal development?
I think you nailed it. It's a great structure. I mean, you do it, I do it. We have our own systems within that structure. So, yeah, like planning that out and having defined goals and benchmarks is so important because we do it all the time. If you're an athlete, you have those. If you're a professor, if you're in your professional life, you have those metrics, those KPIs. Do it personally. It's really important. I'll just add one thing to it, and it's a little bit less tangible, but be weird. What I mean by that is, look, somebody is going to think what you're doing is weird. That's okay. Don't hold it back. Do your weird thing. Be the band geek. Be the whatever you are. Be the Dungeons and Dragons. Be the guy that wakes up at 4 a.m. and goes for runs and eats the same thing every day. Somebody somewhere is going to find you weird, but a lot of people will also connect with that and go, wow, you too? And then it opens up so much personal growth because now you have somebody that wants to walk in the same wave as you, right? They're in your wake now because you were open and you were just being you and being weird. So yeah, plan it out, but don't be afraid to be you and be weird because that's a big piece that people are afraid of doing. But there's a great positive thing that social media has showed us. That's okay. We have people making millions of dollars being Twitch streamers. Unanimously, when we were growing up, they got made fun of as being nerds and dorks and geeks. But guess what? They make $1 million playing their favorite video game,
Yeah.
talking with a little head bubble so they can talk about it. Hey, chat, look at this. I'm about to level up. Like, cool. Hey, you're going to do the David Goggins thing, run a marathon, be like Cam Hanes, run a marathon every day, shoot your bow, go hunt. Awesome. A lot of people think that's weird. I think it's cool. A lot of
So here's what that's like such a great point, and here's what I'll end on in terms of my thoughts, and then we'll throw it back to you again to close off the topic before we transition off of Men's Mental Health Month and back into regularly scheduled programming. But there's no sadder person than somebody who sits there and judges other people for fulfilling their potential. If you're the type of person who tries to dim other people's light because their success makes you insecure, I would challenge you to 180 that immediately. If somebody else is winning, or maybe they're not yet winning it by whatever metric, doesn't even matter what the metric is, but they're trying. At least be indifferent. Don't be negative. I would argue you should be their number one cheerleader. But if you don't have the personal confidence to be their number one cheerleader, at least be indifferent and not a knob about it. Because the world needs more people who try. The world needs more people who care. And the reason that you're probably feeling helpless in your life is because you don't spend enough time being helpful. You want to combat your fears and your anxiety and your helplessness, start getting helpful. And don't do it as a business strategy. Don't do it because eventually you know you're going to do something and those people will feel like they owe you one because you had some deposits with them. And Now, eventually, when it's your time to cash in on the withdrawals, you're going to do it, even though that is how business works. If you're good to other people are going to be good to you. Uh, but just do it because it's the right thing to do. Do it because that person needs it. That person who posted for Men's Mental Health Month, and it was the first time they posted on social media and they're shit scared to do it. Go, you know what? Good for you. I'd imagine that was probably pretty uncomfortable. Like, take all your insecurities and just relate. If you think it would be uncomfortable for you to post about men's mental health, then when you connect with someone who would, go, you know what? That was actually kind of inspiring. I'd imagine that would be pretty uncomfortable to do something like that. And the person who posts might go, holy crap, yeah, I was sweating. Like, it was so uncomfortable. I didn't want to do it at all. Well, now you just created a bond. And all you did was just project your own insecurities. But instead of projecting it onto somebody else in a way that's like, well, here's why you shouldn't do that, or here's why it's weird, or you project it by making fun of them or something. What if you projected your insecurities in a relatability way? Wow, that's crazy that you do that. I feel like I would be way too shy to do something like that. Like, would you have been at a point in your life before where you would have been too shy to do that? Like, is that something you had to overcome, or does it come pretty naturally? Bet you'll get a different answer than what you expect you're going to get. So when you're open and honest about your insecurities with the people who you think don't have them, you realize it's not that they didn't have them, it's that they overcame them. So all that to say, if you're feeling helpless, get helpful. And when you see an opportunity to help people, regardless of income, regardless of whether it's recognized by somebody or not. But do it because you'll feel better about yourself because you'll have better strength of character. And I've said that on the podcast before is uh, the consequence of good decisions is peace of mind. So that's my 2 cents on today's episode. Just want to shout out Greg, you, and I'll take the time to shout out you and Zach, and um, just reaching over 1 million accounts is an awesome feat. Very, very necessary. The way you guys did it, not in a polarizing way, but in a unified way that attracted people with mental illness, without, that had experienced negative mental health, that hadn't, that you were inclusive of women as well, and that there were women supporting women, women supporting men. Um, you guys did it in such an above board, authentic, inspiring way that I hopefully continues to go a long way with people. And I know it's needed and I know it's appreciated. So that's all I've got. Appreciate you guys, and curious to hear what you have to say as we wrap up.
Yeah, first off, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, it was really, really impactful this last month and going forward. So, yeah, keep the conversation going, right? Keep mental health at the forefront of your day. And it doesn't need to be the whole part of your day, but those small little strategies you can use and embed. Ask what the highlight of the day is, what the challenge of the day is. Talk about the wins, be weird, be yourself. Bring up, like, maybe the people you hang around the most don't know that one of your biggest passions in life is something obscure, or it's a video game, or it's fitness, or whatever it is. Maybe they don't know because maybe you've been holding it back because you thought it was too weird. And that can open up a lot. If nothing else, it lets people know that you're okay with who you are. So, be you, have those conversations, make a plan for your personal growth, make a plan for your mental health, for your physical, emotional, spiritual, and create those environments that are conducive to that growth. If you're not in one right now, step outside of the one you're in right now and go find a new one, go build a new one. But yeah, it's so important. And yeah, anybody wants to know how they can get more involved, reach out to me, reach out to Zach, reach out to Coop, like, reach out to us, and we will help you, and we'll do what we can to at least have a conversation with you. So yeah, it's been an awesome month.
Right on. Sweet, Greg. Appreciate the perspective. Appreciate the work you guys do. And we will see you guys next week.
See you, Coop.
Thanks for tuning in this week. If you found value in today's episode, like, subscribe, and share with someone in your circle so they too can build a stronger life and a more resilient future.